This guy wanted to commit a double suicide with his lover, Sakchan, by planning to jump into the river. As they look at the river, Sakchan grabbed the guy's hand and tied their hands together with a red thread, saying, "We'll be together forever." Unfortunately for them, before they could commit suicide, a truck came out of nowhere and killed them both. Later, the guy woke up in a church. He didn't know where he was. As he looked around, he thought this must be the world we go to after we die. Then, a voice came out of nowhere and said this was not the world after death. The voice belonged to Annette, who introduced herself as a guide for those who arrive in this world. She told him he wasn't dead. Instead, he had been chosen and transported to a world shrouded in darkness called Zauberberg, so he could become a hero and bring light to it. When the guy hears this, he laughs and immediately drinks the poison. Annette is shocked when she sees this, so she uses her detoxify skill to heal him. The guy tells her that she doesn't need to do that because he just wants to die. This makes Annette angry. She wants him to become a hero and fulfill his great mission of saving the world. The guy doesn't care and keeps eating the poison, which confuses Annette. She tells him he shouldn't do that since he was chosen by this world. Hearing this, the guy then gets up and asks, "Who asked to be chosen?" Annette then asks him if he wasn't visited by a truck. It turns out that the truck was the selection truck from the other world, the one that brought him here. Among the many people in his old world living unhappy lives, only those struck by the truck get to redo their lives in this world. Since the truck came for him, it proves he was unhappy in his old world. Luckily, he was given the chance to leave his previous life and come to this world. Hearing this makes the guy angry. He gets up and tells Annette that the truck didn't save him. Instead, it interfered with what was supposed to be the happiest moment of his life, his double suicide. He tells her that, who is she to decide if someone is unhappy or not? Annette is still confused and doesn't understand why he is upset. She then checks his stats, thinking it will change his mind if he sees his own stats because after all, every human that brought to this world is granted the ability to wield superhuman powers. Little did she know, as soon as she opened his stats, she can't even believe her eyes since all she can see is, he only has 1 HP, 1 attack, 1 defend and 0 MP and has no skill. As the guy about to leave the church, Annette stops him, saying he were right. He must have been brought to this world by mistake since he doesn't have any fighting skill or ability to survive in this world. He is not fit to live here. Hearing this, the guy smile and tell her, that sounds like his life. He is branded a failure no matter what world he lives in. Hearing this make Annette sad since she can't do anything to help him. She then try to stop him from leaving because in his current state, he is too weak. He would be killed by monsters the moment he stepped outside. The guy doesn't care about that and tell her, not to worry about him because he wants to die anyway. This, make Annette realize that he is different from other. It turns out that Annette was once proud to guide Otherworlder. Meeting Otherworlders excited her. Unfortunately, as time passed, she starts to get tired of praising the hero since all of them are so arrogant. She had closed off her heart and became someone who just flattered heroes repeatedly. But after meeting him, she realized he was the man she had been waiting for. As he was about to leave, Annette tried to stop him and said, "At least take a profession before you go." The man smiled and replied, "I was born to be a writer," before leaving. Later, as he explored the area, he heard a voice in his head telling him that he had leveled up for discovering the new place. This annoyed him because he was suffering from a migraine. Suddenly, he heard a noise behind him. When he turned around, he saw a girl being caught by a tree monster. Mistaking him for an adventurer, the girl asked for his help. However, he didn't say anything. He just stood there, smiling and thinking that dying women are certainly beautiful. Then he asked her if he could write a novel based on her. Hearing this, the girl became angry and told him to hurry up and save her. Since he was so weak, all he could do was try to jump to reach her. This disappointed the girl even more, and she asked him if he had a sword or spells or something. As soon as she finished asking, the monster caught him, making the girl even angrier, saying he was so useless. When the guy was caught, he didn't care at all. Instead, he looked at the girl with a smile and greeted her, saying, "Nice to meet you." The monster then used its skill to drain the life force from both of them. Noticing this, the girl felt hopeless because they would die in a few more minutes if they didn't do anything. The guy told her that was good news and asked if she was excited too, as he happily accepted his death. Unfortunately for him, as the monster absorbed his life force, it got poisoned and died instead. This made the guy very disappointed, but the girl was thrilled. She looked at him, wondering if he had poisoned himself on purpose to kill the monster. She thinks he is very strong but pretended to be weak. Meanwhile the man is feeling depressed, thinking this always happens to him. He wished for death, but he keeps surviving. So far, he's tried to end his life 5 times, and it has never worked out. Seeing how down he is, the girl wants to help him because he saved her life. She reaches out her hand and asks for his name, but he doesn't tell her and want her to just call him Sensei. As she grabs his hand, Sensei notices a red thread in it, reminding him of Sak-chan, the girl who was also hit by the truck. Thinking that she might have come to this world too, Sensei suddenly feels motivated and finds a reason to live. He wants to find Sak-chan and then commit double suicide together again. Later, Sensei goes back to meet Annette and ask about Sak-chan. Seeing him visit her again makes Annette really happy. But her happiness fades as soon as she notices another girl standing next to him. Sensei then tells Annette that he has a question for her, which makes her feel excited, thinking she can finally be useful to him. Unfortunately for Annette, all Sensei wants to know is where Sak-chan is. This shocks Annette as she thinks to herself, another girl? The scene shifts to the Sensei, who is feeling depressed again because he has no idea where Sak-chan is. The girl tries to cheer him up by inviting him to visit her hometown. She suggests that since her hometown is far away, they should stop by the castle town of Roth first. As she reaches for his hand, Annette, who seems jealous, stops her. Annette then tells the girl it's improper to hold a man's hand in public. The girl gets angry and asks Annette why she even came with them. Annette blushes and says nothing, which prompts the girl to tease her, asking if she's in love with Sensei. Embarrassed, Annette tells the girl that her intentions are not impure. As a clergy member, she feels responsible for protecting this weak otherworlder. When the girl hears the word otherworlder, she's shocked and remarks that it's no wonder Sensei is so strong. Annette, confused, calls the girl a liar, insisting that Sensei isn't strong, which is why she has to stay with him to protect him. The girl angrily responds that Sensei managed to kill a death tree with a single attack and saved her life. This makes Annette even more jealous, thinking to herself that they must have grown close already. While they are arguing, Sensei looks around and finds a coffin. As he lies down on it, he tells them to wake him once they arrive in town. Seeing this, they both are amazed that Sensei can sleep on a coffin, but he responds that it's actually a very comfortable bed. He then says goodnight to Annette and calls the girl Tama, which makes her angry since that's not her name. Noticing the girl's frustration, Annette laughs saying, "He called me by the right name." After that, Annette grabs the robe and tries her best to pull the coffin. On the way, Tama and Annette did their best to pull the coffin. However, when Tama reached her limit, she suddenly snapped and told Sensei to walk already, but he didn't respond. Seeing this, Annette tried to calm Tama down. After they arrive, Sensei is impressed by how good the city looks. Annette then takes him to meet the king. The king, who introduces himself as Thomas, King of Roth, along with his daughter Charlotte, is happy to see them. Believing they must be exhausted from their long journey, the king allows them to rest in the castle's bedchambers. On one condition, they must share their travel story with him. Hearing this, Sensei laughs and asks the king if he should tell him what it's like to sleep in a coffin. This shocks the king, who wonders if Sensei is trying to threaten him. Wanting to change the subject, Annette comments on how beautiful the princess is, which makes the king proudly smile as he reveals that the princess is getting married soon. The king then calls 2 men into the room. The first man's name is Gomez, a valiant warrior, and the second is Otto, a wandering minstrel of love. Since the king is now too old, he wants his daughter to marry soon, but she can't choose between the two. So, the king asks Sensei for advice on which one would be more suitable for the princess. Sensei doesn't care, saying, "How should he know?" He tells the king that this is a very important decision for his daughter and that he shouldn't be asking a traveler like him. The fact that the king is even asking this question shows he's a terrible king and unfit to rule. This shocks everyone. Annette and Tama quickly apologize to the king, but the king reassures them that it's okay. Meanwhile, the princess keeps staring at Sensei as he leaves. At night, while Sensei is gazing at the sky, Annette asks if he's having trouble sleeping. He replies that he never sleeps well, which makes Annette feel sad. She then asks him who Sak-chan is, but before he can answer, Annette notices a tail sticking out from Sensei's bed. Furious, Annette pulls back the blanket, revealing Tama happily sleeping on Sensei's lap. Annette quickly wakes her up, scolding her for being shameless, but Tama says she couldn't help it because it was so cold. While they argue, Sensei walks outside, looking for some time alone. There, he meets the princess, and as they gaze at the beautiful lake together, Sensei suddenly expresses a desire to drown himself. This shocks the princess, who asks if he's so troubled that he wants to end his life. But he tells her she shouldn't worry about him because, in his eyes, she has more troubles than he does. The princess tells him that she still can't choose between Gomez and Otto. It hasn't been long since Gomez arrived at the castle and he already become the most dependable soldier. The king also trusts his strength, so the princess feels it would be best to choose him. However, Otto is her childhood friend. Whenever she felt down, he would write songs and sing them to her. The princess is unsure who to choose. Sensei then tells her that she's a kind person who cares for her father, unlike him, whose life has been a continuous series of troubles. He's attempted suicide, even double suicide, numerous times, greatly inconveniencing his father and family. But he never asked anyone else to decide how he should live. Before leaving, he tells her she should decide for herself what to do and figure out what she truly wants. The next day, the king happily summoned everyone to meet with him again. He told them that his daughter had finally chosen whom she would marry and wanted Sensei and his friends to act as witnesses. However, to the king's surprise, when he asked his daughter to make her choice, the princess grabbed Sensei's hand and declared that she would commit double suicide with him. This shocked everyone. The princess told Sensei that after speaking with him, she thought about everything all night and realized something. Whenever she felt down, Otto would write songs and come to sing them to her. But she also noticed that he came even when she wasn't feeling down. He even came to visit her last night too. In short, he seemed to have a lot of free time. The princess thought that Otto didn't love her, he just wanted someone to perform his newest songs for. As for Gomez, she couldn't marry him either because he smelled terrible. Yes, that right, this guy didn't shower at all. Hearing all of this, the king got angry, tried to scold her, but she scolded him back, questioning why he would force her to marry someone without considering her feelings. She didn't even want to get married in the first place. She felt that no one cared about her feelings except Sensei. This made Sensei smile and agree to her request to commit double suicide with her. As they talked, Gomez revealed that he was actually a servant of a wrathful Dark Lord. His plan was to become king of the kingdom and then offer it to the Dark Lord. Gomez believed that his disguise had been exposed by the princess when she mentioned his bad smell. However, the princess was unaware of his true identity. With no turning back now, Gomez decided to kill everyone. Meanwhile, Tama tried to wake Annette to join the fight against Gomez. As Gomez defeated all the guards, Tama had no choice but to fight alone. Otto used his song to boost Tama, but nothing happened because he was using a new song he had just created. This guy is useless. As Tama fought Gomez, she was struck by his horn, causing her head to bleed. Realizing she couldn't win, Sensei asked Gomez to kill him and the princess first, as they both wished to die. This made Gomez laugh. He said that if they were so desperate to die, he would grant their wish and kill them first, then proceed to kill the king, burn the city to the ground, and wipe out every last citizen of the kingdom. As Gomez charged at them, Tama and the king tried to stop him but were too slow. As Gomez got closer and closer, the princess changed her mind, telling Sensei that she no longer wanted to die. She wanted to live and protect the people of her kingdom. Sensei smiled and looked at the princess, saying he always knew she was a kind princess. As his partner in the double suicide, she simply wouldn't do. With that, he pushed her out of the way. Just as Gomez was about to strike him, Annette woke up and created a barrier to protect him. She told Sensei she wouldn't let him die as long as she was by his side. The barrier was so strong that it managed to break the monster's horn, creating an opening for Tama to land a decisive blow and defeat the monster. Afterward, Tama and Annette expressed their gratitude to each other, while the king apologized to his daughter for not considering her feelings. The princess forgave him, and from that day on, she decided to take matters into her own hands and become a queen. On the way to another city, Tama wondered if the princess was doing okay, but Sensei reassured her that she didn't need to worry. After all, it was a decision the princess made for herself. Sensei thought that while drawing women are beautiful, women who stand up for themselves are also beautiful. As they travel, Tama suddenly gets tired, so Annette decides to take a break and eat. Sensei asks Annette if she has any boiled tofu. Annette takes note and promises to look for it in the next town. Damn, I wish I had a girl like that. Annette looks at the map and tells Tama that it will take a few days to reach her hometown, Grun. But before that, she wants to make a stop at Zweiten Temple. Normally, otherworlders arrive at one of the 4 temples in their world and depart for the Dark Lord's castle from there. However, Sensei's goal is not to defeat the Dark Lord but to find Sakchan, so they need to visit the 4 temples to gather information. Hearing this, Tama grows concerned, thinking that if they're unlucky, they might have to travel all over the world. But Annette doesn't see any problem with that. To her, she doesn't want Sensei to fight the Dark Lord at all, she doesn't want him in danger. Tama smiles and teases her, saying she must really love Sensei. Annette tries to deny it, saying she just wants to help Sensei. After all, he's the one who showed her the light when she'd lost hope for her job. Tama then asks Annette what she will do if Sakchan turns out to be Sensei's lover. This makes Annette cry, saying she'll have to confirm that first. After that, Tama makes up her mind and tells Annette that she'll travel with them, but only until they reach her hometown. This annoys Annette because she wants to be alone with Sensei. Tama then wonders if Annette is still allowed into the temple after abandoning her job to come here like that. Annette reassures her not to worry, as the head priest of the temple they're visiting is a dear friend of hers. Also, she didn't leave her post without notice, she sent her familiar to deliver her resignation. Little did she know, the familiar she mentioned actually came back without completing the task. This makes Annette really angry. As it flies around, Sensei takes a liking to it and names it Melas, which makes the familiar really happy. While Annette is praying to the gods to forgive her for leaving her post without notice, a dragon suddenly appears, scaring them. Fortunately, just as the dragon is about to attack, it's stopped by a mysterious girl. She tells them to leave immediately, but after learning that Sensei is an otherworlder, she changes her mind and decides to kill him. She unleashes a powerful attack, but Annette barely manages to block it. As the girl gets closer, Annette and Tama try to get up to protect Sensei. The mysterious girl then uses gravity magic to pin Annette and Tama down. Seeing a mark on the girl's neck, Annette realizes that she is actually a wrathful Dark Lord. As she is about to kill Annette and Tama, Sensei steps forward, saying that they have nothing to do with this. He tells her that if she wants to kill someone, she should just kill him. Without hesitation, the girl strikes him and reveals her name is Waldelia. As she is about to leave, she is shocked to see Sensei stand up and walk toward her. Sensei tells her that she is consumed by powerful hatred and that her eyes look incredibly sad. He wonders what happened to her. Startled, Waldelia quickly leaves with her dragon, wondering who Sensei really is. After they leave, Melas takes Sensei, Annette, and Tama to the temple to be healed. A few days pass, and once Sensei finally recovers, the first thing he does is drink poison, which angers Tama. According to Sensei, he did it because he recovered too quickly, which made him feel unwell. Meanwhile, Annette is grateful to her friend Isha for healing them. She asks Isha about Sakchan, but to her surprise, Isha doesn't know anything either. Isha then questions why Annette quit her job and is now traveling with an otherworlder. She's not happy about it, as she believes there's no such thing as a decent otherworlder. After all, they are given divine powers, known as gifts, to defeat the Dark Lord, but most of them call these powers overpowered skills, and use them for selfish purposes. As Isha talks, she is interrupted by another otherworlder, who tries to impress them by showing off his skill, which produces an unlimited amount of currency. He promises to buy them anything they want if they go with him. However, Isha isn't interested and throws his currency at his face, scaring him off. Isha points at him and tells Annette that most otherworlders are like that. But Annette quickly defends Sensei, saying he's different. If it weren't for Sensei, she wouldn't be who she is now. Sensei changed her fate. While she's talking, Sensei comes over and asks Annette for money to buy more poison. Without thinking, Annette gives him all her money, which makes Isha think that Sensei has already ruined Annette. Isha then wonders what ability Sensei has. Annette happily tells her that Sensei doesn't have any, yet despite that, he risked his life to protect them against the wrathful Dark Lord. Isha is shocked to hear this because the wrathful Dark Lord was supposedly destroyed by another otherworlder 7 days ago. Elsewhere, a man sits in a chair, staring at the trapped wrathful Dark Lord. It is revealed that the girl they met earlier is actually the daughter of the wrathful Dark Lord. At the inn, Annette and Tama are happy that the wrathful Dark Lord has finally been defeated, but they wonder who the mysterious girl they met earlier is. Tama also wondering, if the Dark Lord was defeated 7 days ago, then why Sensei was summoned into this world, even though this world no longer has a Dark Lord. While they're talking, Sensei suddenly rips up his paper and lies on the ground. He wants to write about the events that have occurred since he arrived in this world but is struggling to find the words. When he met Waldelia earlier, he felt a strange surge of creativity that made him want to write about it. Seeing this, Annette is happy and asks Sensei how he described her in his writing, only to be disappointed when he tells her he didn't write anything about her. Annette then suggests they go out into town to relax and buy something useful for Sensei. Not wanting to see him get hurt, Annette buys a very expensive set of armor that can deflect novice-level spells. Tama thinks it's a bad idea since Sensei can hardly move in it, but for some reason, Sensei loves it. He finds the armor very comfortable. Annette then puts a helmet on him and tells him not to go anywhere while she and Tama go shopping. As time passes, Sensei is surrounded by children and even runs into Isha, who is passing by. She asks him what he's doing there, and he replies that he's seeking new excitement. She moves closer and tells him that Annette will be staying with her because she believes being with Sensei will only make Annette unhappy. Isha wants Sensei to dissolve his party with Annette, but Sensei refuses, saying it's up to Annette to decide if she wants to stay with him or not. This angers Isha, who tells Sensei she doesn't trust him because he's an otherworlder. As they talk, another otherworlder named Suzuki and his friend gather a crowd and announce that the wrathful Dark Lord was defeated by a group of otherworlders, so there's no longer anything to worry about. The people are thrilled by the news. Suzuki then smiles and declares that from now on, the otherworlders will rule them. He orders everyone to kneel before him. As the crowd grows confused, one of the otherworlders spots Annette and tells Suzuki that she is the one who attacked him. Enraged, Suzuki approaches Annette, demanding to know how she dared commit violence against an otherworlder. He then places his hand on her head, preparing to use his power. Suzuki used his power to mind control Annette, turning her into his slave. Seeing this, Tama became angry and tried to save Annette but ended up being mind controlled as well. Suzuki's skill is called Pet, which allows him to mind control anyone he wants. The purer they are, the quicker they fall under his control. Isha then arrived and tried to stop Suzuki. She reminded him that he shouldn't use his skill in such a way, warning that the people in town would never surrender to him. Hearing this, Suzuki smiled and said, in that case, he would destroy the town completely and build a new one, with himself as its ruler. He then ordered his pets to go all out. As Isha was surrounded by his pets, Suzuki told her that he would use her church as his castle. Meanwhile, as the townspeople tried to flee, Sensei remained still, smiling as he watched Tama desperately trying to destroy his armor. Sensei thought to himself that Annette was right to purchase this armor, as one could never tell when or by whom they would be attacked. During the attack, Tama eventually manages to break the armor, causing its helmet to fly toward her and knock her out. Not wanting to leave her unprotected, Sensei puts Tama in a barrel and places a sign that reads, "Beware of Wildcat." At the same time, Isha crashes into the wall next to him. Isha gets up and complains to Sensei, saying this is why she hates otherworlders. Not only did Suzuki use his powers for selfish reasons, but now his greed has spiraled out of control. She tells Sensei that Suzuki wasn't like this when he first arrived in this world. He used to be a quiet, weak-willed man. Hearing this, Sensei smiles and taking a note, saying, "Very interesting." Sensei expresses his desire to meet Suzuki and asks Isha where he is. After learning that Suzuki is at the church, Sensei asks Isha to look after Tama while he goes to meet Suzuki. Isha thinks it's too risky for Sensei, since he has no special abilities. But Sensei doesn't care because right now he has a feeling he will finally be able to write his masterpiece. Worried about Sensei, Isha decides to go with him. In front of the church, Isha suggests they find another way around, warning that if they confront Suzuki head-on, his beasts will tear them apart. As she speaks, Sensei pulls out a bottle of poison, leading Annette to think he might have a plan, only to be shocked when he drinks it. With no other option, Isha tells Sensei to stay low and follow her, as she knows a back door into the church. But Sensei ignores her and opens the front door, making her realize once again why she despises otherworlders. Upon meeting Suzuki, Sensei immediately greets him and asks if he can write a novel based on him. Suzuki misunderstands, thinking Sensei wants to write a heroic tale about Suzuki conquering another world. However, Sensei corrects him, explaining that he wants to write about a man who gains more power than he deserves and falls to his own greed. Sensei is fascinated by Suzuki's profoundly human experience. Hearing this enrages Suzuki, who then orders his beasts to kill Sensei. Isha pulls Sensei aside and uses her magic to fight off the beasts. Unfortunately, there are too many of them. Seeing an opening, Suzuki commands his remaining beasts to launch a fireball at Sensei. Just as it's about to hit, Melos arrives in time, wearing Sensei's helmet, which can deflect novice-level spells. He successfully deflects the fireball right back at Suzuki and his beasts. Angry, Suzuki orders his strongest pet to kill Sensei, but as soon as it drinks Sensei's blood, it got poison and dies instantly, shocking everyone. Isha think that Sensei must have planned this by infusing his body with poison earlier. Seeing the situation turn against them, Suzuki's friend panics and runs off, leaving Suzuki behind. After Isha heals Sensei, the two approach Suzuki. However, Suzuki still has a trump card and it is Annette. He hands her a knife and orders her to kill Isha and Sensei. Not wanting to hurt Annette, Isha tells Sensei to retreat, but he refuses. He steps forward, saying Annette isn't as weak as they think. He believes she can break free from Suzuki's mind control. Suzuki laughs, confident that it's impossible, claiming that once someone is affected by his skill, they can never break free. Annette will be his slave for the rest of her life. Sensei disagrees, saying that it's up to Annette to decide that. Suzuki has no say in the matter. As Sensei gets closer, he tells Annette that she isn't a bird in a cage. Hearing this, Annette begins to regain some consciousness and hesitates to kill Sensei. Furious, Suzuki uses all his power to control her again. With no other choice, Annette stabs herself with the knife, breaking free from his control, shocking both Isha and Suzuki. Realizing he has lost, Suzuki picks up the knife, ready to kill himself, but Sensei stops him. He doesn't want Suzuki to die just yet, as he's still in the middle of writing a novel about him. It turns out that in his previous world, Suzuki was bullied by his classmates every day. He was a weak-willed person and often thought about ending his life countless times but never had the courage to do so. One day, he was hit by Truck-kun and transported to this world. With his newfound powers, Suzuki thought this was his chance to start fresh and do better. However, he soon realized that even in this world, people still looked down on him. He was disliked. Realizing this, Suzuki decided to use his power for his own benefit, abandoning any intention of saving the world. Despite this, he became disappointed in himself. He couldn't even commit evil properly. No matter which world he was in, he felt he was still a weak-willed nobody. After learning all this, Sensei smiled and told Suzuki that his novel was complete. It was the story of a miserable man who, despite hoping to become a hero in a new world, could be neither a hero nor a villain due to his own weakness. Sensei titled the novel, No Longer Allowed in Another World. Suddenly, the pages from the book began to fly out, surrounding Suzuki, making him panic. Sensei thanked Suzuki, saying that because of him, he was finally able to write something he was satisfied with again. However, he noted, it still was not a masterpiece. Sensei then grabbed one of the pages and tore it up. The paper surrounding Suzuki suddenly ignited, and a magical circle appeared beneath him, teleporting him back to his original world. Both Annette and Isha were shocked. Annette quickly checked Sensei's status and noticed a new skill called writing. The skill only appeared for a minute, leading Isha to believe that it was a special ability that only activates against otherworlders. This made her realize that Sensei wasn't brought to this world to fight a demon lord but to deal with otherworlders. Meanwhile, the beasts suddenly regained consciousness and stopped attacking, sparing everyone. Tama also regained consciousness and angrily asked who had put her inside the barrel. The next day, Sensei was happy to receive a new coffin as a gift from Isha. Before Annette, Sensei, and Tama left the town, Isha told Annette that she believed Sensei had an important role to play in the future of this world, which meant their journey would be difficult and dangerous. However, Isha no longer wanted to stop Annette from traveling with Sensei. Instead, she wanted her to support him, which made Annette happy, and she promised to do so. Isha then wondered about Suzuki and asked Sensei if he had turned out that way because this world had granted him more power than he deserved. She was worried that Suzuki would return to his world and live a miserable life once again. Sensei told her that he didn't know, and while the story of Suzuki the hero in this world had ended, the story of Suzuki in his own world had not. It was up to him whether it would become a masterpiece or not. The scene then shifted to Suzuki, who was ready to start a new life. He had dropped out of his school and gotten a job at a convenience store. The next day, Isha goes to Papal to report recent events. There, she encounters Wolf, who drinking, he tells Isha that she is lucky that Demi live in her area, unlike him who has to deal with dwarves every day. He can't stand their body odor. As he speaks, a priest named Elton steps in and tells him to stop talking that way, pointing out that it's inappropriate for a priest to speak like that. Elton adds that a person's species doesn't matter, noting that plenty of elves also behave poorly. This frustrates Wolf, who then snaps at Elton, saying, "In that case, why don't you swap places with me?" As they argue, a priest named Miller arrives and invites them to sit down. He asks for their forgiveness for calling them in during such a busy time. Miller then suggests they start by having each region share its report. Just as they are about to begin, another priest named Arya arrives and apologizes for being late. She is filling in for Bishop Annette. Miller asks Arya if she has any information to share about her region. She replies that there's nothing to report, but Miller points out that he heard Charlotte, the daughter of the King of Roth, has recently inherited the throne and questions why she didn't mention it. Arya quickly apologizes, leaving everyone to wonder if she's truly suited for the role. After each priest shares their report, Miller reveals the true reason he called them all here, is to discuss the Otherworlders. The wrathful Dark Lord was recently defeated by a group of Otherworlders. Because of this, the Pope has decided to seal the magic circles that connect their world to others and to stop summoning any more Otherworlders. Everything seems to be going well, however, the 7 Otherworlders who defeated the Dark Lord have now claimed his lands, declared themselves as the new rulers, and announced that, with their power, they will transform this world into a utopia. Hearing this makes everyone tense, wondering how they could possibly fight the Otherworlders. Isha then tells Miller about Sensei and explains how he uses his power to send Otherworlders back to their own worlds. This revelation shocks everyone, who question whether such a power truly exists. Suddenly, the Pope appears and asks Isha to tell him more about this Sensei she mentioned. At the Dark Lord's castle, it's revealed that Sakchon is actually one of the Otherworlders who defeated the wrathful Dark Lord. Meanwhile, Sensei has arrived at village and Tama suddenly got level up from dragging a coffin, however she doesn't seem happy about it at all. They then meet a kid named Nir, who offers them the Otherworlder Dispatch Service. This service assigns Otherworlders to accompany parties that lack confidence in their abilities, ensuring a safe and comfortable journey. Tama immediately declines, as she has bad memories involving Otherworlders. Annette, however, thinks differently. She likes the idea because she wants Sensei to be as safe as possible. Nir then touches the coffin and says, this dead man would probably be smiling up in heaven if he knew Annette and Tama were being accompanied by Otherworlders. As he speaks, Sensei suddenly emerges from the coffin, informing Nir that he's actually still alive. Startled, Nir asks Annette who Sensei is. When he learns that Sensei is, in fact, an Otherworlder, he can hardly believe it. Nir then takes the money and runs off, telling Annette to wait at the inn. He'll bring an Otherworlder there. Later at night, they still waiting, however Nir doesn't come at all. The innkeeper then asks them, what are they waiting for? After telling her about Nir, innkeeper sigh and tells them, they are probably got scammed. That kid has never even met an Otherworlder before. Hearing this, make Annette very angry and Tama try her best to calm her down. Sensei then got curious and asks the innkeeper for more information about the kid. It turns out that the boy is an orphan who began living in town some time ago. He makes a living by occasionally tricking visitors passing through. With no adults in his life to guide or scold him, he's learned to fend for himself in his own way. Elsewhere, Nir got kidnapped by 3 guys and took all of his money that he had saved so far. Nir tried to scare them by telling them that his Otherworlder friends would come and help him soon. However, the 3 guys weren't scared and revealed that they were also an Otherworlders. They told the kid that this is what he got for using their name to make a tidy sum. As they were about to kill the kid, Sensei came in time and moved the guy's hand, making him shoot his teammate instead. One of the otherworlders then uses his skill to check Sensei's status and is shocked to see that Sensei is also an otherworlder, but unusually weak and even poisoned. They smirk, preparing to finish Sensei off. Sensing this, Sensei suddenly gets excited, causing his HP to rise dramatically, which startles them. With a grin, Sensei tells them to aim for his heart. Thinking Sensei must be some kind of pervert, they quickly flee the area, making the Sensei disappointed. The kid, however, is incredibly grateful and asks if Sensei is a hero. Sensei denies it, but as he looks at the kid, he feels a sense of joy, thinking that a child should have that kind of wonder in their eyes. Sensei then leaves the area, forgetting to untie the kid. The next day, just as they're about to leave, Annette asks Sensei where he went last night. Sensei smiles and replies that he had a truly delightful evening. This response annoys Annette, as she assumes Sensei was with another woman. Just then, Nier arrives to greet them. Seeing him, Tama becomes angry, calling him a liar and demanding their money back. Nier insists he didn't lie, explaining that he'll be the one accompanying them, which surprises everyone. On the way, Sensei suddenly hears a voice in his head, informing him that he's gained an experience point for discovering a new area. This annoys Sensei, making him wish to die. Nier, noticing his frustration, grows concerned and tells Tama and Annette, though they don't seem surprised at all. Tama then suggests he pull the coffin instead. As they near Tama's homeland, they spot an inspection checkpoint at the village entrance. Tama excitedly assures everyone to leave it to her, boasting that she's somewhat famous here and can get them through easily. However, the moment the guards see Tama, they immediately arrest the group and throw them in jail. Annette is crying and wants to leave because, apparently, Tama is the reason they were arrested, and now Tama has been taken away. Nier believes Tama must have committed a serious crime here, but Annette thinks there must be some misunderstanding. While they talking, Sensei suddenly becomes curious about how do they execute people here and start laughing by himself. Fortunately, Nier knows how to pick a lock and manages to escape, but they are quickly caught again by the guards and brought before the king. The king is furious, accusing them of committing a serious crime, kidnapping the kingdom's princess, Matilda. He declares they will be executed, leaving Nier and Annette in shock while Sensei keeps smiling. Suddenly, Tama appears and tells the king that she wasn't kidnapped. It turns out Tama is actually the princess of this kingdom. Despite her explaining everything to her father, he still refuses to release them. The king then tells Tama that, however, if she swears to stop acting foolishly and promises to behave like a royal, following the example of her mother, Lapama, he will release them immediately. With no other choice, Tama reluctantly agrees to her father's terms. Later, at the tavern, Sensei is still angry about not being executed and keeps eating poison in frustration. Meanwhile, Annette and Nier can't believe that Tama is a princess. Annette reflects on how rude she's been to Tama countless times and realizes it wouldn't have surprised her if she had been executed. As they were talking, the waitress nearby overheard them and asked if they knew the princess. Her name was Fawn, and she used to serve Tama at the palace as her lady-in-waiting. Hearing this, Sensei smiled and asked Fawn about Tama's past. He found Tama to be an interesting woman and wanted to learn more about her. Meanwhile, Tama gazes out the window, wondering what Sensei, Nier, and Annette are up to now. Suddenly, she sees a man standing atop the palace, and with a single move, he destroys the top half of the building. The king and the guards rush to confront him. When asked who he is, the man introduces himself as Kaibara, one of the heroes who killed the Dark Lord, now known as the Fallen Angel of Gluttony. He has come here to consume the entire nation. The guards charge at him, but in the blink of an eye, Kaibara devours them with his skill. He complains that the guards didn't taste good at all and expresses a desire to eat the soft flesh of a young demi-woman instead. The king, furious, tore off his armor, ready to kill Kaibara. As they clashed, their skills seemed evenly matched. However, the king spotted an opening and struck Kaibara with a powerful thunderbolt. To his shock, it had no effect. It turns out that before coming here, Kaibara had consumed a large number of golems, making his body extraordinarily tough. Knowing this, the king prepared to unleash his ultimate skill to finish Kaibara once and for all. Before the battle could escalate, Tama appeared, tell her father to stop, insisting she wanted to join the fight too. Seeing Tama, Kaibara became excited and wanted to eat her. The king told Tama to step back, reminding her that she could never replace Leon. It was revealed that Tama had a twin brother named Leon, who had been the crown prince destined to inherit the throne. However, 2 years ago, during a stormy night, a cave-in occurred as they traveled back to the castle. Tragically, both Prince Leon and Queen Lapima lost their lives. The king was devastated by their loss and fell into a prolonged period of grief. Wanting to ease her father's pain, Tama decided to cut her hair and try to take Leon's place. Annette thought it was a heartbreaking story, while Sensei found it interesting. Back to Tama, she ignored the king's warning and leapt toward Kaibara. Kaibara immediately used his skill in an attempt to devour her. Fortunately, the king managed to push Tama out of the way, but in doing so, he lost one of his arms. Kaibara, seemingly moved by the king's sacrifice, and asked, "Is this what they call love between a parent and child?" Enraged, Tama tried to attack him again but was knocked out by an elderly man, the kingdom's minister. He then took her away, leaving the king behind. The old man brought Tama to Annette and explained the situation to her and the others. As they spoke, a sudden explosion shook the palace. Moments later, Kaibara emerged from palace, with the king chained at his side. He then introduced himself to everyone and announced that, from now on, he was the new king of the land. He assured them not to worry, claiming he was not there to oppress them. However, he revealed his true desire, to taste the flesh of all the demi-women and children living there. As for the man, they could continue working as usual. One of the guys then stood up to Kaibara and refused. Kaibara responded by devouring him on the spot, scaring everyone. Kaibara added that if a family didn't want to be separated, he would gladly devour demi-men as well, allowing them to be reunited inside his stomach. Panic spread among the crowd as people tried to flee, but Kaibara informed them it was useless, as he has already stationed monsters who used to serve the Dark Lord all over town. He then declared he would be waiting at the dinner table before leaving. Meanwhile, Tama dreamed of her mother. When she woke up, she was surprised to find Annette, Nier, and Sensei outside. After learning that her father had been captured, she became furious and prepared to rescue him, but the others stopped her. Tama, feeling guilty, blamed herself for her father's defeat and believed it was her duty to protect the kingdom in her brother Leon's place. However, Annette firmly held her back, explaining that if the people of the kingdom lost Tama, their princess as well, they would lose all hope. Annette urged Tama to stay, assuring her that she, Sensei, and Nier would handle the situation. At the palace, Annette prepared to fight the two monsters guarding the entrance, but Sensei stepped forward and announced they had come to be eaten. He told the monsters he was deeply moved by the new king's earlier speech and had never considered being eaten to death until then. The monsters, baffled and creeped out, decided Sensei was a weirdo and chose to avoid dealing with him. Instead, they locked Sensei and his team in a jail cell while they went to report the situation to Kaibara. Little did they know, this was exactly what Sensei had planned. Once inside, he instructed Nier to pick the lock and free them. Meanwhile, back in Tama's room, the old man was shocked to discover she had already left. As the monsters reported to Kaibara, Tama burst into the scene, swiftly killing 2 of them and preparing to rescue her father. If you come this far, please consider liking and subscribing for more videos like this. Thank